None? Hi. The usual sound check, as we have people on Twitch and YouTube. Can you hear me? Can you quickly post something in the chat that you hear me? Thanks. Good. Hello, everybody. Here at location at Tech Talk and on stream. I hope stream can still hear me. Welcome to our June 2023 meetup, the .NET meetup here in Vienna. As always, it's presented by .NET Devs.at. Who are we? We are a non-profit organization all about spreading knowledge and experience of .NET technologies. You can find us everywhere. We are on YouTube, so we have a Slack channel, Twitch, Twitter. There's a QR code on our website. People should got links in chat to all of the website. Yeah, thanks you all for joining today here at location on stream. Hi. And yeah, also want to quickly thanks our sponsor. First is our location sponsor today. It's Tech Talk, and we have some words from Tech Talk today. So we are working.
Need more microphones. I hold it. So, welcome from Tech Talk side. It's a pleasure to see you all here at our office, and hi everyone at home. So, Tech Talk, what is Tech Talk? So first, our slogan. Our slogan is building software that matters. So we are a software development company. Some hard facts, Tech Talk glance. We are founded 93. So we are 30 years old. This year we had a big party at May. So we have 3 branches in Austria, Switzerland, and Germany. We are owner managed, and currently we are about 70 employees. More. So we are our office. We have 1 office in Berlin, 1 office in Vienna, and 1 office in Zurich. That's our office. So what's our offer? We have 3 branches or 3 value streams. Call it. We have solutions, building software for customers. We have also some ready solutions like eActe, Geva, or urban issue management, or we have some road and infrastructure management software, and our newest 2 are the smart elections for non-profit organizations and others, and Plenum is our digital meeting platform we can be working on. Our second branch, we are experts in software development, of course, technology consulting, also agile testing, and all other stuff like user experience design, cloud computing. We're also consulting in DevOps, and our newest one is the cooperative modeling. And our third branch is Agile. We make Agile coaching. We have in some company or Agile coaches. We have trainings for Agile in our DC spaces. That's our rooms here. And yeah, also consulting. So, short, our products. We have some brands like Tech Talk eActe, Geva. That's our eActe files. We have very old stuff like our OR mapper, Genome. It's how you know it. We once write our own OR mapper and our other products. And also we have the HL2 event. We'll say later something. So, join us. We are searching always to extend our team. Currently, we are searching for a .NET architect, for a .NET developer, and we are not only working with .NET, we're also searching Angular and Java full stack developer. So Angular front end, Java in the back end. So we are always searching. So we are hiring people. As I say, we are the organizer of the HL2 in Vienna. It's on 13th September this year in the European House, and the schedule, I think, is last week published. I think we have 3 or 4 tracks. This year we have also not the Agile organization track, we have also a technical track where we discuss some technical topics in the Agile world. At last, to my person, my name is Rolf Holzer. I'm a software architect at Tech Talk. I'm working since 10 years at Tech Talk. I'm also a lecturer at the Technikum Wien, and I'm a co-founder of .NET Devs with Andreas and Martin. And when you reach me or want to talk to me about the job offerings, write me on Twitter, talk to me afterwards at the Pizza and Beer. We will get here a Tech Talk. And also our managers, if you want contact with products or projects, here are our managers. Okay, thank you and enjoy the meetup.
So, thanks, Raul, and thanks Tech Talk for the location today. We also have other sponsors. Big thanks to Rubicon and Theatre Every for sponsoring us and supporting us financially. With them, only with them, it's possible to have all the gear and stuff to do the streams. And also JetBrains, who does sponsor us with a 12 months product license, which we will raffle. You can take the stream can take part in the raffle if you type #JetBrains in the chat when the talk starts. I forgot something to enable first, so I need a moment. So when the talk starts, we start with the raffle, and then you can enter it. Quick news from the community: our meetup is part of the .NET Foundation, and what they did 3 years ago is they have a virtual user group where a lot of other user groups around the world are announcing their meetups. So if you need more content, have a look there. And I think that was it, because that's an old slide. And with that, I'm handing over to Michael, and yeah, about retarding an ASP.NET WebForms application to .NET. I'm very curious. Good. And we have a quick technical switch here, and then the talk starts. HDMI und Aus- und Audio. So, das kann ich schon fürs Gerät. Muss noch im Stream ja deinen Screen share. Ja. So.
Okay.
Ja, nein, falscher Monitor.
Oops.
Ich habe einen Monitor, das ist der Browser.
Why is it not?
Ist der Monitor wieder weg?
Share screen.
Ja, Enter Screen.
Full screen.
Auswählen.
So, share.
Und jetzt?
Sollte es eigentlich.
Ja. Jetzt ist er in Presenter Mode.
Ja, weil er hier.
Auf Windows Duplicate Display oder
Habe ich eigentlich.
Wenn du Presenter Mode verwenden willst,
Ich will nicht extern. Ich wollte eigentlich Presenter Mode. this is default setting from PowerPoint. Quick shortcut how to start a presentation without presenter mode.
Slideshow und den Makro wegnehmen.
Pardon? Slideshow und
Rechts, 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 rechts. Stop.
okay. And
Yeah,
okay,
looks good.
good. So, yeah, welcome to my talk this evening. Can everybody hear me okay, or is the mic not in the best place? Okay, good. So, I'm here today to tell you how we are able to retarget an ASP.NET WebForms application to .NET. So basically do something Microsoft always said they don't want and can't do. I already did a similar presentation a while ago with the .NET Community Center. So for today, I'm going to try this different approach. And instead of stepping through the Git history, I'll try to do the coding live. Don't worry. Should I figure out that it takes too long, I can always switch to the Git history. Yeah. So, but first, and I know that Andy said it's too small, but it's not an issue because all I'm going to do is I'm starting the classic .NET Framework WebForms application Wingtip Toys, which should be live in a moment. Yeah, that's not very spectacular. It's just, please just open DevTools. I'm just going to the network view. There it is. And if I go a refresh, we get somewhere here. Yeah, there it is. Microsoft IIS version 10. Even tells me the ASP.NET version, stuff like that. So yeah, all pretty boring. The most challenging stuff here was how to get the Wingtip Toys application because Microsoft took it down a couple of years ago. So I went into the Internet Archive and dug it out, but it's all there. So what does this mean? I went over and said, OK, the boring stuff is preset up. I got a blank .NET Core web application here. There is not much to see. It's just pages. A few the standard pages it's creating, stuff like that. And here I have my provider, which I can set into, it is, appearance, come on, down, presentation mode, which gives us a little bit more space and larger font. Since JetBrains is our sponsor, I decided to not use Studio for this fun part, but rather Rider. Good. So the first step we have to do, of course, is get the source code for Wingtip Toys minus the bin folder, minus the object folder, copy it over into the new demo solution, and just paste it in. Yeah, it's not really that spectacular. And if I switch here into, yeah, it's indexing stuff. And if I go to the in presenter view, okay, I hope I don't have to exit the presenter view to get a nice solution explorer. View the solution explorer, tool window. Yeah, let's take Explorer. Yeah, there it is. So, yeah, this is just .NET full framework application copied over to .NET Core. And now we can start with doing a couple of things. The first thing is, of course, let's just try and see what happens when I compile. Starting the .NET compile, yeah, okay. A lot of stuff that's not working because, I mean, there's no dependencies. It got somewhere here around the packages config in there, so yeah, basically nothing is really going to work. The first good thing we should do, I'm going to switch this around a bit from, yeah. Let's first go ahead and just switch the package config, because without the dependencies, we can't do anything anyway. Personally, I found it actually rather easy to copy and paste this stuff. Go to edit in the, where it is, edit project, there it is. Go into the CS project file and just add my item group, paste this in, and then go into editing. So basically, yeah, this works well. Does it work or does it not work? Control, no, Shift it is. Alt. There should, what's the shortcut to select columns? Shift Control. Normally, right? Okay. Normally, Rider also supports this. Yeah, there it is. I just have to use the trackpad and okay. Next time I'm going to use a mouse. Yeah, it's just package reference. We got, of course, there is an N missing reference. Thank you. So include, and that's it from auto replace. And now I'm just going to. Oh, import group. Yeah, thanks. I knew it looked strange, but the auto completion was helpful. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Always great when you have helpful moderators available to help with these little things. So, yeah, I'm just going to say copy and replace version lowercase with version uppercase. Since the alignment is no longer there, I'm just going to do it like this. Pardon me, what do you want from me? Replace all? Yeah, now it worked. Don't know why it didn't work. Probably hit the wrong key, and I can just go ahead and Ctrl H and clear out this target framework stuff here. There's one or two others left, unfortunately, because in the package config, it wasn't all that well structured. Good, and now we got a nice little package references file in there. And should be able to say again, it doesn't, the element beneath is, okay. What is it? What is the problem? Come on. And it's loading again. Good. So, and which means we can also drop the packages config file. These kinds of stuff, Microsoft also got the migration tooling, but it can't deal with WebForms projects, so you have to do this on your own, unfortunately. So now if I go ahead and say build, Control build, hello. Let's see what it says. Yeah, I got some duplicate attributes. Why? Because we also copied the assembly info, which I'm just going to delete. Normally, You need to check what's in there, but I know there is nothing of value in there. Yeah. So of course, there's some missing namespaces from system web. And yeah, it's probably a good idea to just start adding the system web stuff. For this, I'm going to go ahead and copy the ready-made list from the sample application. Basically, it means install all the CoreForms assemblies. That's CoreForms web plus stuff that's in there. Some of those you know from system web, like the plain one, the application services, dynamic data, extension services. And some assemblies, we added the infrastructure ones because, yeah, we need some magic to happen. And the compiler error list is already shorter. Yeah, you know, okay, it's complaining, of course, that we don't have Windows, so we have to add the Windows, because right now, CoreForms is only targeting Windows. I know people always ask about Linux support, because .NET supports Linux. It's basically a question if there is an interest in this. So don't suggest this, please. Okay, ambiguous references. Yeah, there is a couple of things that we need to check. We have some global usings that we need to switch off, because per default the implicit usings are enabled. This is going to trigger missing namespaces. And let's see what it is going to tell us now. Okay. So we are at replace package config, CoreForms. We have the Windows dependency. Yeah, reference type to clean rebuild. As I said before, if there's ever too much trouble, I just switch over, but reference type claims to be, come on, there should be a good hint. The last time I did this in Visual Studio and I got the first error first, program. Yeah. Import. Why? Oh, global usings. So. Okay, I'm sorry, because it's been a while since I did a plain instead of just copying the stuff over. The first other thing I need to do is get the framework bridge over and make sure we have this, and then recheck. Good. It really was just this one package reference here missing. Why? Why did it complain? Basically, what we did is we made sure everything that's provided by the system assemblies, by .NET Framework, we provide within CoreForms. And if there's third-party dependencies, they don't know that we have CoreForms. They still expect the full framework assemblies. So we created the .NET Framework Bridge NuGet package, which simply takes care of this for us and solves these problems. And since I didn't add it before and expected a different error because of this, I was confused. My bad. That's what you get by not doing a step-by-step migration right before the presentation to keep things fresh. Yeah. Now you get a ton of warnings, basically from NuGet itself, because one thing .NET tells you is not a good idea. It works, but it's not a good idea. Is, hey, you're using .NET Framework only packages in your solution, but you're actually targeting .NET. And the funny thing is, this works normal without any problems. The only requirement is all types are known, all types are available, all types work. But there is a nasty, nasty warning that's really annoying. Even more annoying than looking at someone who is trying to figure out why there is a strange error and forgot why. No warn without the typo, please. No warn $. No warn. That's always a good practice in MS Build. It's the NuGet error 1701. And now the list should be on.
Now more.
Oh,
W.
thank you. Yeah, good. So next one, nullable reference types. Let's just disable them, because for now we can always fix them later, but right now I'm just checking. Yeah, I use disable simply. Disable, there is a typo. I found without the audience participation. It's right now it's the easiest to just disable it, because the full framework project doesn't support nullable reference types anyway. Yeah, okay. This one here is obsolete now. Use HTTP client instead. I can simply suppress this here and be done. It's a good idea to replace this later on, but it's not something that's going to stop us during the migration. So, good. But as you can see, it already compiled. The interesting part is we have here our program. Things won't really do much right now. I mean, I can start it, check what's going to happen, but yeah, it's going to just launch the simple start page. But there won't be there is no Wingtip Toys, no nothing. It's just a .NET Core application. Rather boring, but it's not blowing up. That's also something. So what's the next we need to do? There's a couple of things that we need to do during this minus, please. The first one is in the project file to do set the output path, because anyone who still remembers output path, who still remembers the WebForms applications, the bin directory is just directly a bin directory. There is no release and debug folder. And we don't have the target framework typo. We don't have the and target framework. Hello, IntelliSense. Okay. Good idea why it's not completing for me. Target framework moniker. Now, target framework to output path. Output path. And that's a false. So, there's a typo somewhere? Thank you. So, what I'm going to do is I'm clearing out the bin directory. Oh, it's actually correct already. Yeah, okay. So, that's one thing. The next we need to do is we got the web config file, which is great, and there's a lot of stuff in there. The problem is classic, the modern .NET applications, they don't expect a web config file. What they expect is an app config, which they can link to the exe file. Do we have? Yeah, okay. Just use F2 to rename and call it app config. So, but for WebForms and Visual Studio and stuff like that, for things to work better, we should also have a web config. And there is a nice little trick. We don't have to have a separate one, item group. We can just link these around using the content directive. Date app config, and we set it to a link that goes web.config. Yeah. By the way, everything I'm showing you is also logged in the history of the Wingtip Toys sample on the CoreForms homepage, which I'm going to show you after we got this whole thing to work. And the history is actually the documentation with every step documented. So the target framework now inside the app config itself. Where are you? You are now, oh, I typed app config, didn't I? Some reason it decided. So, yeah, there's a couple of other things down in the system pages. Yeah, here, target framework. Which one is it? It's this one here. This one goes to 5.0. Basically, it just needs to be higher than 4.x because there is some code in the system assemblies that checks this stuff. And yeah, the easiest thing is to just tell it, okay, you are higher, so there is no compatibility flags for this. All good. The next bit is we need to add target prefixes. And before I'm going to type all those, I'm checking the history for the right one. No, back, history, target. Tag prefix, not target. Tag prefix, there it is. So I don't know if any one of you remembers the tag prefixes you're using when you're working with the pages. And since the CoreForms assemblies have their own, we can either add them into the individual pages or just place them here in the web config and say, okay, the namespace system web controls is CoreForms web, the namespace system web UI is CoreForms web extensions, etc. And for the Wingtip Toys, it's those 4 we need. And we can drop the target framework in the runtime because it's no longer any compatibility options here. It's just the runtime that's working. Yeah. Something I learned the hard way during, where is it? In the custom errors. It's already here, isn't it? Yeah. A good thing is to just switch off custom errors and give you the pure yellow pages if you have problems, because it's absolutely no fun to figuring out why your application isn't starting if you're just getting, hey, your application did not start, it got an error, please contact the system administrator, or whatever they are printing out. So, good. Now we can write some code, because we still need to make sure CoreForms is actually starting. For this, we basically have a system, yeah, here. Is it before or after? It's before. The first thing we need to do is we add, we call it a legacy ASP.NET initialization.initialize method with a new options object. We have a virtual path. We set to basically just a root. And we have the physical path, which you can set to environment, current directory. That's just telling the system, okay, you find your files in the root folder of the application, and please mount it onto the root. Then we have there, after the razor pages, we register CoreForms, add legacy ASP.NET, and down in the mapping, where we map the razor pages, we also map legacy ASP.NET, typo, / basically it's just a wildcard that says, I just want anything that's not special, but you can also put it into a /legacy folder or whatever you want. It's basically just where your ASPX pages can be found. So, okay, let's see what happens when we start this. Control F5. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a bit. There's a license missing, yeah, because we decided to not use open source for CoreForms, but rather make sure we have enough money to sustain the development of it. There's a licensing option. For trial licenses, we have a trial license, which we just can set before we start using CoreForms. And it just says basically, hey, I'm just using it for trial purposes, and I accept that it's trial. So nobody can say they didn't know what they were doing. And if it's used in production, there's a payment option. Okay, good. So, and now, what's going to happen next? Yeah, I probably should add this first, because it's where is the easiest one to do this? In a resistance state. Come on, got sample. There it is. Any good application has a way to go to the start page. We have here our default ASPX. That's the one we want to load. And the standard page here from .NET Core itself is in the index CS.html that's located here in pages. Yeah, there it is. And I'm just going to add a new entry, basically just anchor href default SPX Wingtip Toys, because I don't want to do this all the time, and there's a typo somewhere.
You killed the closing tag.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Yeah, much better. So no. Pardon?
Apply changes in the ID at the top.
Yeah, Wingtip Toys. So what's going to happen now? Okay. That one, yeah, exactly. But since we disabled the custom errors, we get a helpful error. That's one obscure thing. Since we are just sitting inside from .NET, ASP.NET Core, the easiest thing is to say, okay, authentication. If you want to have advanced things, basically just use the modern stuff, because why do you want to use legacy authentication APIs when you have modern ones? And the the Microsoft OWIN Google authentication stuff is using an assembly that's really, really annoying to get to work. So the easiest way we dealt with this, because nobody really needs it at this point, is to just switch it off. And that's here in app start out. Yeah, it's a dependency. I mean, the Google secret in Wingtip Toys, it's not even doing anything, so there is no benefit in this. Just disabled it. Yeah, apply changes. Let's see if this is actually going to work, or if I have to restart. It's possible I have to restart. Let's see. It's doing something. Yeah. Because we are still missing one or two details. I'm not sure if the white space, if the white page was. Yeah, okay. So there's two more things we need to do that's possibly giving us errors that get swallowed. That's not on CoreForms, that's just the way the system is done. I just stop this. If I go into the debugger, I'm probably going to get a helpful message. Debug. There is one thing with the database stuff that's just getting swallowed, because Microsoft never really provided good error handling for this. And it's quite possible we are getting a nice exception in the code behind. Come on. Yeah. Oh, yeah, session. Because we never turned on the session, we need to enable the session stuff. And that's down there in the HTTP modules. Come on, where are you? HTTP modules, provider, session state, add. After this. Yeah, it is. Just add name session state module. Type is system web session state module. Pardon? Yep, thank you. Session state module CoreForms.web. And now my notes tell me we are almost done. And yeah, one more error. Build, debug, where's the debug?
Key. I think you missed an S.
Oh.
Session state on the name.
I'm sorry.
Left. Session only.
Oh, actually that shouldn't matter because the key is just how it's registered. But there is one more detail that we need to do, and that's the database. The system drawing. Oh, yeah, and the system drawing is by assemblies. We also need to add them. Forward. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Here it is a lot of fun. Yeah, I cannot find my database. Why? Microsoft decided to make this sample marvelously isolated. We are using LocalDB. And to use LocalDB, it's working. It's not a problem. It's just please don't use the data directory placeholder. That's I want to get it to work. There was just no benefit right now. It's in the data directory, the Wingtip Toys MDF. It's a copy path. Paste it in there and drop the quote. This should take care of it, or is this? Yeah. So, and what happens now? We got a running Wingtip Toys. Yeah. And that's, if I check here with a reload, yeah. It's still the IIS, of course, because it's still in IIS Express. That's okay, that's a fake. Actually, we didn't, I mean, it's in the code behind, sorry. Why is it still? I'm probably never changed those. I thought I changed them. I should have changed them. But still, I mean, it's here the .NET application. So basically, we have a Wingtip Toys. And I just switched it off. Yeah, good. That's basically CoreForms. And to go back to the presentation, the first part here is just a recap of what we did. Basically, what I didn't show you is I, of course, updated the 10-year-old dependencies in the Wingtip Toys sample. And then we went ahead and moved it over into the CS project file, fixed the compiler errors, and launched the application and went from there. You can check out the whole demo on GitHub, CoreForms Web. We're going to publish the links later on, right? Yeah. And the history is a complete migration guide. For this, the history for this sample is a complete migration guide where every step is documented, not just with a short message, but with more explanation what happens and why it happens. Yeah, we had to register, of course, the CoreForms dependency list. do the app config stuff, make sure it's the target framework is higher, register the tag prefixes, session state module, hook up the initialization code. Yeah, so a couple of things. I don't know if who already played with the .NET, ASP.NET Core system. They just have a string sessions store. Basically, it's key is a string, value is a string. That's not really compatible with full framework, so we provided the full framework session management for CoreForms when we do ASP.NET WebForms applications. That's just working. We just have to register the module. We also provide an option to access the WebForms session information in the ASP.NET Core part. If you want to, we call it the in-memory session, the in-memory object session. And it basically is an extra service that's available, that's sharing the information, and you can use it. There is demos you can check out. Authentication is the same. We made sure to have a unified authentication option. Basically, you can use the principle from the ASP.NET Core application inside WebForms, and you only have one authentication cookie. And yeah, there's even some stuff between, do you want to have separate? Do you want to have it's the same one, or do you want to share the ASP.NET Core user into the WebForms, and allow it make it settable, but keep WebForms immutable, including the options. That's documented on the wiki on the GitHub page. And for third-party libraries, we have the framework bridge. We checked it with things like the Telerik Controls. If you have a library we haven't checked yet, you might run into the odd issue. We are trying to provide good solutions for these things, but we can't test everything up front. But yeah, I mean, for instance, Telerik just worked. There's also a runnable demo for this. You just need Telerik assemblies and plug them in. Yeah. So you can, using CoreForms, simply retarget your WebForms application to .NET. And this talk now was, yeah, I mean, I started the presentation as 45 minutes, including some mouse troubles and finding an odd issue because I didn't want to paste this in. We have the product homepage itself with coreforms.net, where you can reach us if you're interested in actually getting a license. The binaries are sitting on NuGet.org. You just have to use the trial key. We have documentation up on GitHub. And the more interest there is, the more we can document. We have the demos up on the page. Yeah, good. So everyone's still awake and not scared away from a live coding session during this call, during this talk. What questions do you have? What requests? What suggestions? Andy.
Can you mix WebForms with all the new, what is the, okay, I'm now running on .NET with all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How can I now get the new cool stuff into this? How can I migrate from WebForms to...
So basically, yeah, basically Andy is asking, how can we mix and mingle between ASP.NET Core, all the cool new stuff, and an application that's still WebForms? The first thing is, here, this page, the welcome page, is an ASP.NET Core Razor page. And inside, I have the link to the WebForms the WebForms is simply just running inside ASP.NET Core as a separate endpoint. And you mix it the same way you mix Razor Pages, Web API, MVC, and whatever other UI framework you can link into the stack. It's just a separate one. You can't, of course, merge MVC and WebForms pages into one single entity and have some parts of the page be MVC and some other part be WebForms. But you can really go ahead and say, okay, first thing is I migrate my page over to from WebForms on full framework to CoreForms on .NET. And then I go ahead and keep this stuff running until I need to change. And there's a change request, and it requires me to change, for instance, the product registration page. Then I replace it with a nice little MVC implementation and go from there. And this way you can do a step-by-step migration. Or you keep this stuff and just build new stuff around it. Basically, yeah, however you want to do any tech stack migration in an application that's made up of individual pages.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's also one big difference between what we set up here and the Microsoft migration recommendation with the donut hole migration. They basically proxy a full framework application via the ASP.NET Core application. And they have some authentication sharing options and session state sharing by just serializing the session state via strings and stuff like that. But basically, yeah, you have to have a system that still works with full framework. You can't use nullable reference types, really. You don't have the latest C# features, anything like that. And with CoreForms, you get all the nice .NET sugar. It's just the API surface itself is a little bit dated. Okay, more questions?
Did you already roll this out in production somewhere?
We have migrations presently running. We have released versions that are using this. And customers will be getting this in a reasonable time frame. Oh, yeah, sorry. The question is if it's already rolled out into production. Yeah. Questions from the internet audience?
Nothing there.
Okay. Good. Yeah, in that case, in theory, the pizza should also be arriving sometime in the next.
One other question. How many time was invested into creating such a thing like CoreForms? Because now it's just if you see this, do that, but
yeah,
must be a lot of brain
yeah,
to do.
yeah. The question was, how much time was there invested? Let me put it this way. More than enough time that we decided it's not just something we can open source. We started working on this sometime in 2018, I think. And we had some smart people working on this. It wasn't just me doing this stuff. And yeah, so there is some work in there to make sure everything is working, and it's also going on. It's also an ongoing thing because you need to update it for new versions of .NET, of course, and make sure new ideas are also getting incorporated. We even had already requests. Hey, can we do this on Linux? Right now, the answer is no. But it's basically a question of interest and popular demand.
For sure, if there's demand for CoreForms, there will be demand for Linux because it's the standard to use now.
Exactly. Andy.
Where did you start, or how is it even working? So, as you didn't implement all the controls from start, or?
No. Yeah, okay. How did we get started with this, and did we implement the controls from scratch? No, we found a way to make sure there is basically a very, very compatible version of the APIs available in System Web. Over there, I actually would prefer not to go into too much details how we did it, because a lot of what we did is the reason why we started in 2018. But we were able to provide a very extremely faithful migration and had a lot of fun, for instance, to deal with, I don't know if anyone of you knows this, but the thread abort in full framework, basically it created an exception. You could not catch, you could catch it, but you could not swallow it. And at the end of the catch block, it got automatically rethrown, no matter whether you wrote rethrow exception or not. And Microsoft said, hey, this kind of thread abort handling is not something we want to support anymore. And so now we have a web platform that uses thread abort basically as the intrinsic information of, hey, my request is currently ending, or hey, I want to move to a new page. So we had to find out how to best do this without breaking third-party libraries, without breaking invariants in .NET itself, .NET frame, system WebForms itself, and without breaking existing applications that might rely on this. And what we came up with is basically guided exceptions. If you do it wrong, you get a meaningful exception that tells you what you did wrong. And pretty much also where this happened. And we also checked, of course, that's something we check with the third-party libraries. Hey, do we find any code in there that swallows exceptions and is on a obviously critical path? So the good thing is most control libraries don't really write click handlers for a button or whatever, do a server transfer, and then make a catch-all around this, because that's just, yeah, not something you would do normally. And yeah, another fun thing is, of course, hey, we have the designer support. We don't, of course, in CoreForms, we don't have designer support, but there is a ton of control libraries that provide designer support. And what do we do when you have a control library that actually references classes from Windows forms inside their production control paths? The code isn't actually getting executed, but it's in there in the method. And it says, hey, if there is an instance of my control type designer, then do something special, which means all the types need to be available at compile time, at runtime actually, because otherwise the method compilation can't find all its dependencies, and there is a nice exception. So we had to provide fake assemblies for all the WinForms stuff. There's no functionality there, but yeah, the APIs are required. Something I learned from helping people migrate, there's a lot of stuff you need to do when you migrate full framework application to .NET Core. There's your dependencies you need to update. Things like, hey, I want to change entity framework to a newer version or whatever. I have an authentication platform that uses a very old version of a SAML implementation, and they provide a newer version, but it's working completely differently, stuff like that. that's all work. Once you have your system basically in the domain layer targeting .NET and .NET Framework at the same time, plugging in the CoreForms assemblies is, I mean, Wingtip Toys is a pretty huge application. It just works. Yeah. Once you get to this point, it's easy. Things like the build system. Hey, I need to switch from my old way to compile to something that uses .NET Build, or how the tests are run. What else? Yeah, that was the build system. Tests that need to run. Yeah. How do I deploy my application? All these things, those take time. Switching the web application itself is really easy now. Good. Any further questions? Andy.
Last one. How do you check or make sure that the behavior is the same on full framework, WebForms, and .NET with CoreForms? What's
Basically, the one thing is test suites, and the other is we have for the infrastructure stuff, of course, and the other one is making sure the system does the same. Well, it's just you can go ahead and we actually did, for instance, some EL checking, and yeah, we linted through the decompiled code once we were done between CoreForms and WebForms and made sure things work. There were different, Microsoft also tried to, well, one guy at Microsoft tried to do this, Stephen Isok, I think. He basically tried to get mono web forms completed and running. And he gave up a couple of years ago. Was around this, he started around the same time we started, and yeah, we managed to reach the finish line of happily. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here right now. The biggest part was just making sure, if you look into the EL code, there is only a handful of differences in the control library, because otherwise, yeah, you can forget it. It's no fun to figure out whether the page life cycle is behaving differently, for instance. That's exactly. Andy made very nice gestures about committing suicide when you try to figure out why the web page life cycle isn't working. Yeah.
That was a horror to figure out the page life cycle when we worked with this on full framework.
Oh yes.
So,
Back in 2004, 2005, my first job at Rubicon was basically, hey, we want to have a form system, and you look smart. Here you have .NET Reflector. Figure out how the page lifecycle works, and use the ASP.NET HTML table structure during the runtime and change it up so it looks like a nice form while not breaking view state. Yeah. Basically inserting new columns, inserting new lines, moving controls between lines in the table. It was fun. And it's probably a reason why we now have CoreForms, because I learned a lot about the internal of WebForms during this time, and what's possible and what's not possible. but that was, yeah, a lot of fun, but it works. Okay. Then it's probably, oh, another question.
You already
Perfect.
have a lot of commercial customers except yourself as a user?
There was a nice response on the Microsoft talk, plus some very nice infrastructure discussions we have right now. But I don't want to go into details how many customers and which sizes. Yeah.
Yeah, typically if you have some big customers that you can name, that's quite nice. For example, I work for a company where people are where a lot of software companies ask to show their logo on the homepage, so
Yeah.
maybe there's something up there.
Yeah. Take it back to product management. Good. So disconnect the StreamYard.
Switch. I need the microphone.
Yep.
Technical change. That's there. Share screen. Hide. Good. So I need, where's my PowerPoint? There's my PowerPoint. So, Michael, thank you for showing us CoreForms and how to migrate from these ancient web forms to something new. And you were a little bit quick, as every speaker at our meetups. You also get one of our custom coasters with our logo.
Thank you.
Every speaker will get one. Also the remote speakers, we are sending them out. So if you want to get a coaster, I have to give a talk at us. So talk with us.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you.
having you here. Yeah. Also, thank you all for joining here at location and on stream. Thanks again to our sponsors, TechTalk here for location and Rubicon Theater Every for financial support and Jetport for the license. We have the raffle. Let's quickly. Okay, we only have one person. So, ja, drück da drauf, dass ich mal auf den Stream. So, one person on stream only take part. So you win the license. You see, if you're still on stream and you see your name now on the bottom left, please contact us on this email address, team@.netdevs.at, and I will send you the product key. Yeah, if somebody wants to host a meetup in Vienna, please contact us. We're also always looking at meetup locations, and we're also looking at speakers or topics. Our plan for the future is a little bit dry at the moment, so stay tuned. We're working on that. The next one in July will be again a remote only for people who knew it. We're currently switching so 1 month is in person and streaming, and the second one is remote only. Yeah, please spread the word that we are doing these events every month. Invite everybody you know that things has something to do with .NET. And yeah, you can find us on all the relevant platforms there. And the last thing, the most important thing is we want to improve these events. Please give us feedback. For the people here in the audience, you have a very big QR code here on the screen, and I don't see any phones here. So, and for you on streams, you should got the link in the chat window to take part in the feedback. It's quick, 2-3 minutes feedback. Yeah, and with that, thank you all, and we see us next month. Bye.